A 2007 Volvo C70 Convertible. This would probably apply to 2006 to 2013 for sure, but probably most other vehicles out there as well. So we purchased this car for my daughter almost a year ago, and she absolutely loves the car. We are just now having our very first issue, and if you Google a Volvo C70 out in YouTube or Google it or whatever, you're not going to find any information whatsoever. So just maybe our solution to this problem will help somebody out there with a similar car. What has happened, the battery has drained beyond dead levels, and to our astonishment and amazement, really, this thing goes into a deadlock system, meaning our mechanical key would not work. At first we thought it was a key fob, so we changed the battery in the key fob. Nope, didn't work. We tried the mechanical key. Nope, didn't work. And we noticed that the alarm system wasn't blinking red, which that then clued us into the battery was dead. So then, upon further questioning to people that have been out there that have owned Volvos, many times in this particular case, when it's that dead, it's all electronic, you cannot open the doors with those inflatable wedge systems where you kind of not crack the window, but you put the wedge system in, you pull out the glass, you pull out the door just enough so you can get a stick in there to pull the handle. Nope, does not work. So what do, right? We know the battery's dead, but we cannot get into the hood without breaking glass to open up the hood or without busting out the grill to get to the latch. What do? Well, we scratched our heads for a few days, and we now have an answer, and it worked. Now, I've already done it, and so that I know that it works, but I'm going to show others out there. Hopefully this will help somebody out there. So what you do in a nutshell is you basically use a jump starter. You crawl under the car, you find the starter, and you basically jump start the battery through the starter. I have never done that before. I have never heard of that before, but it worked flawlessly. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where your Volvo C70 Convertible goes into frickin' dead lockdown and you can't get in for any reason, this is what you do. Because you can't get in the trunk, you can't get in the hood, you can't get through the doors, and you don't want to break anything. So let me show you where everything is. What you need to do is you need to jack it up first of all. Now I jacked it up. I always like to put my car on ramps, so I had to jack it up. I put it on jack stands and I jacked it up a little bit more further and pushed ramps underneath it. I like ramps better than jack supports. And then I just removed the jacks, and now I can put the rest of the ramp on and just back it down. And I like that. This is good fit for me. After you jack up your car and make sure it's supported well, push on it, make sure it won't knock over on you. Put a chalk behind the rear wheel. You need your jump starter. You need a good screwdriver, that's a good, at least a foot long, and you need flashlights. And then it helps if you have a second person, maybe even holding the key fob and ready to open the door. There's one note. This car did have a skid plate under here. You have to remove the skid plate in order to access all this. Not being familiar with the car, I had to find the starter, first of all. This being a sports car, it's low to the ground, everything is compact and jammed together. So I'm going to point to the starter here with my finger, or with my screwdriver. This is the starter and this is a solenoid with it. The only connections coming off this starter are, see, the screwdriver's touching that brass threaded rod. That's what we're going to touch. So you're going to need flashlights. Like right now I've got 3 of them, 3 magnetic flashlights pointing up so I can see what I'm doing. And one note, because the car is 14 years old, all of this braided stuff, boy, this plastic wire covers is extremely brittle. Don't be surprised if it just falls apart, if it just crumbles upon mere touch or brushing it. The first thing you do is you hook the negative battery cable to the chassis. Don't try to hook it to a bolt on the aluminum engine block, because it won't work. You need that steel chassis. So then what you do is you take the positive terminal, you hook it to a screwdriver, because typically the clamp will not fit in all this tight space in here. So you hook it to the screwdriver, and then you reach up with the screwdriver and you touch, let's see if I can get this on video, you touch that brass terminal up there, right up there. You touch it, and you might, depending on the battery, like how dead the battery is, you might have to touch it once or twice. But in that time, like, you'll hear a little chirp or something, and you have your assistant push the key fob to unlock the door and then open the door. So that's what you need to do. That's all you have to do, and it does work. It works like a charm. All right, so once you get into the car, you're able to pop the hood, and then it's not as simple as most vehicles to change your battery, but it's not difficult either. In this vehicle, unfortunately, what you have to do is you have to remove this steady bar, this anti-sway bar that runs from one side of the car to the other. These covers, like this covers, they just pop off. You just pull them up, pop them off. Then there's two screws for here. Let me just do this one. See, that pops off. Then there's these two screws, one there and one there. Those are 13 millimeter. There's two identical screws on the other side, or nuts. So you remove those two nuts on this side, remove them on that side. This whole anti-sway bar will come off. You take it out, and then that'll give you access to remove the first cover. This will just pick up like this, and it'll slide straight out. Now, I've already replaced the battery, so I'm not going to do it again. But once you get this out, then there is a shroud that goes around the battery. You have to take that out in order to access a bolt down here. So there's a little clip on the shroud down here. You just reach in like this, and you pull it, and the whole shroud will just lift right up and out. Once you do that, there's a nut right down here by my finger that you can access. It's a 10 millimeter nut. There's one there, and there's one right here where my finger is. That will remove a bracket that's holding the battery in place. Once that's removed, then you can disconnect the positive 10 millimeter and the negative terminals 10 millimeter. Disconnect those, and then you can pull the whole battery out. So it's actually fairly simple, but most cars, you don't have this sway bar in here, and there's all kinds of covers over the battery, which is actually kind of nice. But when you remove the battery, when the battery dies, you remove it, you replace it. The follow-on issue then can become your automatic windows won't function normally. They will go down a little bit. They won't go all the way back up. And with the convertible, you know that when you open the door, the windows drop just a little bit to clear the convertible roof. And then when you close it, the windows go back up. Well, all that stopped working. But the quick and easy solution is as follows. Once you have the door open, you've replaced the battery, then there's a quick technique for fixing the automatic windows.
Okay, to reset your auto windows after you've changed out your car battery, you're going to put the key in the ignition and turn it to position 2. Then you will want to put your window in the closed position by pulling up on the switches, and you're going to hold the switches in the closed position for at least 10 seconds. So just count to 10, making sure that the windows are all the way up, and holding that for a good 10 seconds or a little more. And that should clear and reset your windows.
All right, so again, this is a 2000 Volvo C70 Convertible, and it was an extreme lockdown and nothing we could do to get into the car. But it was a beautiful fix by charging the battery via the starter, and it worked like a charm. So if you ever find yourself in this predicament, this system works, and you don't have to have it towed into a dealership and spend, $500 to $1,000 for them to get into your car. It's quite simple. It probably takes including getting all the gear and getting the setup, maybe 20 minutes. You know, once you have all the gear and everything, it's, you know, within under 5 minutes. So I hope that helps somebody else out there, because it took me a while. It was a brain teaser for us, for sure. So again, hope that helps somebody out there.